He said, goddamn. He said, all right. I said, let's do a podcast. Let's sit down. Let's get a coffee. Let's just talk about 1, 2, 3, 4. Coffee with the Sam. Got a little podcast. Grab yourself a little coffee and a podcast.
Well, that you're laughing at the video. I do probably need to change it. We've changed the logo. We've got a bit more grown up with the logo. And probably as this episode ravels out, that's probably not the best intro for it, really.
Makes everyone laugh, though.
And I suppose, like I said, we've just been discussing off camera how, and off record, how you've dealt with what we're about to talk about. So that's probably how you've dealt it. Matthew McConaughey in small shorts thrust into Coffee with Sam podcast theme tune. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Coffee with Sam podcast. I feel like it's been a very, very long time. I've probably been back in this studio since January, I don't think. We've been trying to get this one on record for a long time. Things have changed, things didn't happen, things did happen. But I also think as it starts to unravel itself, both our we probably didn't want to do it, even though we both said we would. I said this is going to be a great idea, and you were like, yeah, I'll do it. Probably thinking, oh, okay, but I probably actually don't want to do it. But welcome to the show, and guys, if you're not on the camera and you're on the audio, this is Kimberley Banfield. Say hello, Kimberley.
Hello.
She is the beautiful young sister of my wife.
Yeah.
And we're gonna slowly feed into why she's here. It mainly goes back to the show this year on the 28th of September in Nuneaton. The Coffee with Sam podcast presents is a wickedly twisted variety show this year, and we're raising money for Macmillan. And this is why, well, one of the reasons to why Kimberley is here is because that's why the charity that I have chosen is like, if we're going to make some money, then why not make it for something? But secondly, you are family. And, you know, my wife's going to listen to this without upsetting her too much. You are one of the strongest women that I have ever been around. Once again, we were just talking about that off air, not on radio, off record, of how you've dealt with what we're going to talk about. And I've said throughout the whole thing, and even when me and your sister have got into dark places with it, is to how you've dealt with it, as like everyone else deal with it 10 times better than they would have done if you'd have dealt with it not how everyone, but how you expect someone, what you've been through, deals with it. Now, I'm just to kick it off, a small background, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to go in, I'm going to go deep with it, and I'm just going to throw it out there. Diagnosed, 3 bouts of cancer, one in the same place twice. One was probably the biggest one you could have ever had. Yeah. In life-changing changes that have come with that. I want to take you right back to the beginning. When you first, how did you find out that you'd got your first, is it called diagnosis? About first?
Yeah, first lot of cancer really. It was thyroid cancer, and I ended up hurting my shoulder whilst teaching cheerleading. I caught one of the athletes and it pulled my shoulder, and I had an MRI on it 'cause I felt like it was really damaged, and my shoulder was fine, but they saw something else, and they literally just said, I'll go to you doctors and get a blood test. There's something there, and I just started crying because you don't think you're going to get told, oh, there's like a little lump in your neck or in your body. And
I think it's so big now as well, the first thing you go to is that.
Yeah.
Is the big C word.
But it was just before COVID as well, so I was just like, and I was so young.
How old are you?
Oh,
I tell everyone 28.
Yeah, I'm 28 now.
So
that was 29. 5 years ago? No, 4 years ago. Just under 5 years ago.
You're 24. Yeah. 24. First bout of cancer. So firstly, we've said we're going to keep this episode positive, and the reason why you is here, I'm allergy, why you are here is because you said that you want to shed the light on how to deal with it, and if you can help one person get through the same sort of thing, then that's what we're doing here, and that's what the podcast is all about. Is if one person is listening, I always keep doing it, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. So you've had this injury, you've had the blood tests. Was it straight away? Did you think, oh, it's cancer, or did they give it cancer straight away, or?
It wasn't really that quick, because they were just all still panicking over COVID and stuff, and I was just like, I mean, I'm not really that bothered about COVID because I don't have COVID, I've got this other problem, and you've told us there's a lump there, you need to do something about it. And it was really traumatic, to be fair. Boris locked us down on like the Wednesday. That Friday, after I'd had all my biopsies and everything, I had some random doctor call me and was just like, oh yeah, you've got thyroid cancer, you've got to wait for a surgeon to call you once they start doing surgeries again. And that was just the end of the conversation. There was no real support or anything that I had from that hospital. And I was literally at home in my room on my own because everyone was at work. And I was just like, what? Like, are they even allowed to do that? Like, just call someone and go, yeah, you've got cancer, and then put the phone down.
I suppose it's one of those things, isn't it? Like, it's like everything in the world that you think something is your issue. Why is someone else not caring about what's so big to you? But also, they probably were worrying about the world was falling to shit.
Yeah.
That it not the least of their worries, but it was probably very, well, how are we actually going to deal with this to get her in, to get what we've got to do, because we don't know if we can go out, let alone get through it. So you're 24, you've been diagnosed with cancer, you've been locked down. We're going to go back to how strong you've been throughout the whole thing. Now, I might learn something new here because I've not spent time with you. I've not lived with you. Whenever I've seen you, and we're going to get to the further down the point of one of the hardest things I've ever had to do regarding what you were doing.
Yeah.
What's the next step? Like, forget that they told you can't do anything. Like, they're not telling you what's going to happen. What do you do?
I just had to sit and wait, knowing that this thing was in it, and try and not Google. Like, everyone tells you not to Google because it's the worst thing you can do, but there's only so long you can hold off doing that. And I felt like Instagram was the better place to have a look because it's actual real experiences rather than horror stories on the Google. Because if you've got any problem and you're poorly and you say, oh, I've got a sniffly nose, and you type it into Google, it straight away says you're going to die. So,
is that where did your brain go to that straight away though?
Not initially, because I had Alexandra, my sister, so I could just text her and ask her a question rather than go on Google.
So I can imagine for a lot of people, it's that you've got this, you just naturally go straight to, well, that's it, game over.
But yeah, most places you get given a lot of information. So in my second bout of cancer, when I got diagnosed with breast cancer last year, I got given that much information that you're just overwhelmed with information and you just don't know what to do with it because there's so much. But it's better than having the information in booklets and direct from a nurse or a doctor than Google.
Yeah, well, and you believe it. Was there any point where everything you were getting, everything your sister was telling you, you didn't believe it? Or was that when we get into the second phase of what you've been through over the last 4 years? Like,
it's just one of them. Like, it's hard to know what it's gonna do and if it's gonna make you better. Like, obviously, some days are better than others, but obviously, some days you can go into a bit of a hole and just cry all day.
So with the thyroid cancer, did you have to have was there chemo? Was the whole works, or was it just have it cut out and?
Yeah, so for me, for thyroid cancer, I didn't have to have chemo or anything. I literally just had the tumour and half of my thyroid removed in the June, and then my voice actually went. So part of your voice box can actually get paralysed during the operation, which is one of the risks. And of course that had to happen to me, so I barely could talk. I woke up and my voice was just gone. I couldn't talk. And then that had to get better, so it took about 6 months to get to 80% better. And they said if it goes again during the next operation, I'd have to have a breathing tube out my neck, and they wouldn't be able to figure out if it's gone until I wake up. So they had to wait. They said after your second one, we've got to wake you up, and then you'll be like gasping for air if it has gone. So then during my second operation, I was like freaking out. Like they thought I had COVID because I was freaking out that much. My temperature was like 40, and they were like, "You need to calm down, else we can't do it." I was on my own. My mum couldn't stay or anything. So it's scary enough getting put to sleep, and then they tell you might not be able to breathe when you're going to wake up.
So that's worse than knowing you got cancer.
At that point, it was terrifying.
It made you get over it a little bit. So that was the first bout, and you rode that like a warrior. Obviously after the initial,
yeah,
and then you got through that. Then your voice just comes back. You've just got your voice back, like as in it's Kimberley again. And then
we all did the race for life. We did the mud run, didn't we?
Yep.
And then that night I was going out for a drink with some friends and was getting ready, and as girls do, we can't find anything to wear. So I was trying on all the outfits in my wardrobe, just like, oh, what do I wear? And then noticed an indent in my boob in the mirror, and was just like, what is that? And then just couldn't stop thinking about it and looking at it, and then showed Alexandra the next day, and she was like, oh, just go to the doctors and get it checked. Got an emergency appointment at the doctor's. I think it might have been the Thursday that week, because I kept phoning every day. And then they literally sent me for a 2-week emergency breast appointment where you have mammograms, ultrasounds, biopsies. And obviously I'd been through biopsies before, but the breast biopsy compared to the neck biopsy is totally different. The one I had in my neck was just like a tiny needle, like what you have when you have a blood test. When you have this one in your boob, it's like a thick needle, like a pencil, and it like shoots.
Very invasive.
Yeah, and it hurts. Like it does hurt. And obviously not many people know what it's like because it's such a scary time. People don't want to be like, oh, I might have this. Like they don't want to talk about it because you're scared enough in yourself that it could be that.
Yeah. If
you find a lump, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like, that's just the place people go to straight away, because it's just, you see so much about breast cancer online and everything, which is a good thing, but it does kind of scare people.
Yeah. So, you've gone, how did you feel? Let's go back to your feelings. So, you found it. Was it, you still this stone cold killer reaction of, oh, I've got a lump? Or is it now like, okay, mate, this could be more serious than what was going on in the throat? It could be connected. It is what we think it is. Or how did you feel in that moment?
I was just scared, and I just kept thinking, oh, surely it's not going to happen again. Like, surely I can't have something like this again. I can't be that unlucky. Like, it's not fair. Yeah,
because they do go back to the first one. They did say to you that you haven't got the gene, right?
So when I got diagnosed with the breast cancer, you have to have a test done for the BRCA gene, to check if it's like connected in your family and you got it from someone else in your family. But that was all negative.
They literally said to you,
you don't have the BRCA gene.
It's unlucky. It's just
I'm literally just unlucky.
Just had it twice now.
Yeah. And I had all other genetic tests done to see if it's connected to anything else, or my thyroid cancer and my breast cancer are connected, and everything's been negative. So I really just have had the worst luck.
How do you deal with that? Like, it's not, because sometimes it's better going, well, I've got the gene. I might get it 10 more times.
Yes,
but you haven't. There's nothing to say why you're getting it, and now this is your second time. You're only 25 now. Was it a year after? 2 years after? It was a year. It wasn't long, was it?
Just over 3 years after.
Oh, was it 3 years after?
Yeah.
So 3 years after. So that whole first period was 3 years long. Yeah. It's like your voice had only just come back, right?
Yeah. So I had 2 years of that, and then got the all clear, and they said there's nothing in your neck in the January of 2022, or was it 2023?
You try not to care, have you?
Yeah, it's just all rolled into one, to be fair. But then I was like, oh, that's it, I'm done now. I can actually relax. Went on a nice holiday to New York to celebrate. It was really nice.
After the neck.
Yeah. Because I was like, I'm done now.
I keep saying neck. It sounds so much worse. The neck, the throat. Yeah.
But yeah, and then saw that, and it was just scary because I just kept messing with my boob. It was just like, once you know something's there, you're not going to stop looking at it, messing with it. And then with me keep messing with it, I could feel then a lump. So it was scary.
So then your world gets flipped upside down because you've now got what, and it sounds really weird, but wording can be a thing. Like thyroid cancer, to me, it doesn't hold the same aggression as when you go breast cancer or cervical cancer or testicular cancer or I can't think the other one, bowel cancer.
Yeah.
I don't know why thyroid cancer. I think maybe because it's not as common yet. It probably is as common, but just not talked about all over TV and mainstream. So like your first one, you're probably like, "Dad, I rode that." As soon as you hear breast cancer as a female, I can imagine that just flips your world completely upside down. But with you as well, things happened really fast.
Very fast.
Probably good. Good compared to like the first time when you had to wait and it was what's gonna blah blah. But 1 minute you've been diagnosed. It was weeks before you were in going. They were going, cool. What do you want to do about it?
Yeah, so it was literally, I had all my biopsies and everything, and then got called in a week or two later for my diagnosis. And then literally that week I had to go in and I had to decide literally that night with my boyfriend what we were going to do about fertility. And at 27 I wasn't thinking, let's freeze my eggs. Like, we're literally only just thinking, oh, let's buy a house. And then once we've got a house, then we'll probably think about a baby. Like, I was not like, yep, we're going to have a baby like tomorrow. But it was like, you need to decide what you want to do. Whether you want to freeze your eggs, create embryos, or not do anything at all. And I literally had to decide within days to get it started so I could start chemo.
And as a, I know your boyfriend's been amazing throughout it. As a female, what does that feel like? You probably know what the inevitable is going to happen to your breasts. You know where that's going.
You kind of, I feel like I was kind of a bit blind to it because I was like, I didn't really know.
Slightly naive.
Obviously, as a young girl, like at 27, to get diagnosed with a breast cancer, you don't realise how common it is with people so young. Like, you just think, oh, people only really get diagnosed once they start having mammograms, and that's not the case at all.
And how have you dealt with, obviously, you knew that was coming. Now you're not even, like you say, you're 20, 24, 25, 26? 26.
I turned 27
27.
the day before my first chemo.
So you're 27 and, or 26, 27, and you just said, like, you're not thinking about, you think about buying a house, you're thinking about buying furniture, you're thinking about just moving in together, not freezing your eggs and thinking about the future. How have you dealt with that? What have you had to internally tell yourself?
It's so difficult because it's like the choice has been taken away. Like, I know it was kind of more hard during the day because I got told I had to, like, freeze my eggs, and it was I was kind of just a bit, like, in shock from getting diagnosed and then getting thrown with this as well. And then obviously you guys had just found out you was pregnant, and Alexandra you just told us. So Alexandra's sitting there, like, pregnant, and she's like, we're literally talking about you freezing your eggs, and I'm sitting here pregnant. And I'm like, but it's not anyone's fault that this has happened. Like, you can't feel guilty for you being fine and having a baby. Like, it's amazing. Like, I love Archie so much. Like, he was something to focus on for all of us, rather than me losing boobs.
See, guys, if you can see why I keep laughing and I'm, like, chuckling about things that are said. One, she's family, and secondly, this is how she's dealt with it. This is exactly how she's dealt with it the whole time. It's just losing boobs, just losing a pair of boobs. But like you're gonna probably say a lot, and you said throughout the whole process that you're alive.
Yeah.
But I think it's the same as when I've had friends as well that have had to lose testicles. That when you grow up, and they are the things that make you who you are as such, and you focus so much on that because of birth, and you use them for birth, and without testicles you can't get a human being. Well, you can, but it's not natural, and it's taken away from you. I do think in years to come it's going to get slightly easier, because that won't be us. That won't be our sole purpose as such, as in, like. But how have you dealt with, like you just said, losing your boobs? We're going to jump straight to that. We'll go from the fertility. So as a female, you've now had your fertility treatment. You've had that taken away from you. You're now about to have a double mastectomy?
Yeah.
Am I saying it right?
Yeah, a double mastectomy. So I had a double mastectomy with a D at reconstruction. So
I think is incredible. Whenever I speak to anyone, I go, one, without looking, they still look like boobs. Secondly, how they did it.
It's incredible. I didn't think they'd be able to do it because I lost so much weight during chemo. My plastic surgeon basically said, we might not be able to do it. You might have to have implants.
Your boyfriend, didn't I? You fatten her up.
Yeah.
You fatten her up.
Honestly, everyone was like, if we went round to our friends and they were like, oh, we've ordered pizza, they'd be like, no one is eating first, barking. She needs to fatten her up.
It's probably helped too, because you've got friends like yourself and like me around you that are the same sort of thing. Like, it's not that we don't care, it's that we know humour can really take the edge off something, especially something so bad. And I know we like to say you're very grumpy, but for someone who is very grumpy, takes humour, you can take humour very well, and you use humour a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I think that friend circle has helped you a lot.
It's hard because it's like, for some people they don't have a friendship and family circle like I've had throughout stuff like this, and I've seen how it can really affect some people, like, because they haven't had the support, and then it has really affected them. So then they literally have their treatment, go home, and then they just go into a depression because it's so hard. But like Martin, like, I'd literally have my chemo and he'd be like, right, we're going on a walk, and he'd drag me out the house, like, and I'm literally, I'm not moving. I feel like crap. Like, it was awful. Like, I'm not gonna say it was easy. It wasn't.
Which, like I say, I can say you've combated like a warrior, and you've been a Trojan horse, and you've been amazing. But you might have done that just when you saw us. I was never sat at home with you. I always saw you a week after your chemo. I never saw you. I saw you one day when it was the day after your chemo, which was the day I cut your hair for you. which is probably the worst I ever saw you. So for me, I'm like, she rocked it. She absolutely smashed it. But Martin will go, no, she didn't.
Yeah.
No, she didn't.
Like, I think it was after my first chemo, because I didn't really know. Alexandra warned me about the side effects and stuff. She was like, your mouth's going to be sore and like your appetite might not be there. So I was like, Martin, you just need to try and make me eat something. So we cooked like a pizza, and like we like this pizza. It's like a sweet chili one from Aldi, and
Not a sponsor.
not a sponsor. And we'd always ate it before, and he was like, "Oh, just want pizza?" I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And he literally brought it down to me. I literally took a bite and I spat it back out because my mouth was on fire, and it's not even spicy, but because my mouth was sore, but I didn't really realise it. And then I cried. And I was like, I'm crying over a pizza. But at the time, I was just like, I just want to eat something because I'm not going to get better if I don't eat.
I bet stuff changed. Did like tastes change? Did what you
Yeah.
wanted to eat and drink change? Did you couldn't taste certain things? You could taste certain things, and like you
Yeah,
said, you
so-
get sores in your mouth and
So I basically ended up eating tomato soup for 6 months. And then like the week of my chemo, when I felt a bit better, if there was anything like I fancied, so like it was like getting up to winter time and stuff. So I was obviously, when you're just sitting at home, I was just scrolling through TikTok, and it was like Sunday dinners, stews, and then Bake Off was on. So I was like, oh, they're pie week. I was like, I need a pie and chips, or like pie and mash. And then there was stews, and I was like, Dad makes a good stew. So I phoned Dad up and I was like, you need to make stew like tomorrow. And he was like, okay. And I was like, I'm coming round. And he made extra and made me take it home.
oh, good old stew, bit of ale stew.
Mm.
So we'll go back to the double mastectomy. How did you make that choice? Because it wasn't in both breasts, was it?
No, sir.
And don't say
It-
because of your sister.
I-
You had
Honestly,
your own head.
it wasn't, to be fair. It was more because during my biopsy, they scan your boobs and they said you've got lumps in the other side. So it was in the right side and in my armpit. But then they said there's lumps in the left. But then they said they look fine. And then after my diagnosis, they said the left doesn't have anything in. You've just got like lumpy, dense breasts. And I was like, okay. And then conversations with my doctors and stuff, I was like, can you tell me that the lumps in the other side are never going to turn into cancer? And they said they probably won't. And I was like, probably is not good enough. Probably is not good enough when this is my second time going through this. You can't, like...
So was that word in there? Was that when you were like, take them both off?
Yeah. And they said, we've got to take it to like the meeting and get it approved and everything. I was like, I'm telling you now, you are taking both off. And I literally went in there, we're like, yeah, we'll do it. I thought I was going to have to go into the doctors and like have a full-on argument with him and be like, you are doing it. But yeah, I think my reasoning for doing it and saying it's not good enough to just be like, oh, they're probably not going to change.
Yeah.
And being so like, oh, I can't go through it again, did really help me. And like my doctors was amazing, like helping me get through it and giving me all the information I needed, and like was like, you need to put on weight to be able to have this operation. And it's a scary operation. Like I was, and
They cut you like, didn't they?
yeah, it's literally like hip to hip. And then I've got like a new belly button and everything, like it's crazy.
Did one of your moles move down?
Yeah, so I had a mole right by my belly button and now it's like by my pant line. It's really strange.
Because what did they do? Imagine you had a tattoo.
But people have like tattoos in the belly button. So when I eventually get my nipples tattooed on, like I follow someone on Instagram that does it, and she tattoos are, so people who have like web toes as well. Like it's all this stuff that you find out when you just
So you
research
still got a
stuff.
belly button?
Yes, they had to make me a new one.
Oh, okay.
But it's really strange.
So what did they do? How did it happen? What happened? So they just lap them off? No? What did they do?
Yeah, so they obviously dissected all the breast tissue out, both my boobs, and then they said they might have to go across my boob to get to my armpit, but instead they just did like 2 round incisions and then just a separate one under my armpit to keep it separate. They said it'd be better for later when I have my nipples tattooed on, it'll look more natural. But I just said whatever you need to do to get it all out is what you need to do. I'll just deal with it after. Like,
and then they cut you across here and pulled down, didn't they? What did they do?
Yes, from what I know about it, I've always said like I might watch it at some point, like a video of it after. But it was like a long operation. I think I went down at like 9:30, and I think they phoned my mum and dad at maybe like 7:30, 8 o'clock, to say I'd woke up. But yeah, it was said took all the breast tissue, and then they take basically your tummy fat and like blood vessels and everything and move them up to your breasts. So they had to clip the bit of fat to my chest that had like all scratches all over me when I woke up, and basically ram it in the 2 holes. But I got told after that they have to stand you up on the bed to check that they're level and everything else. So, God, that sounds so strange. Like, you're literally strapped to a bed, like stood up.
Level line going. Laser line. Oh, yeah. Good.
But yeah, it was.
And then you were out in a couple of days.
Yeah, I remember. So I was on a high dependency unit for the first night. Went up to a ward the next day, and then Mum and Martin came up on the second night to come and see me. And I just got up to the ward, and I was sat in the chair. And they both was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "I'm waiting for my dinner." Because I was sat in the chair that I think they expected me to be like stuck.
Yeah, well, you'd got a scar from your hip to your hip.
I mean, I couldn't really walk. I was like fully bent, hunched over. But that's because I had obviously an operation from hip to hip. I couldn't stand up, and it was all so tight, and I had a compression thing on my belly with all drains and everything. I had a plastic bag full of drains that I had to carry around. I had 1 on the left and then 4 on the right, so it was a lot of stuff to carry around, and this compression thing was another little machine that I had to carry around. You were out in a couple of
days, weren't you?
Yeah.
The doctor, I remember him coming in going, "Why are you still here?"
I had my operation on the Tuesday. I ended up coming home the Sunday.
That's insane. It's another testament to how you've dealt with this. Like, it's insane. Like I say, I've not been there through the dark times, but the time frames that things have happened, it's obviously been a lot. It's been, the hospitals have been great as well with how fast they reacted to things. But even your recovery, even your hair that's growing back now.
I know, yeah.
You've got mad locks. So as a female, talking to someone who maybe is about to go through this and they've got loads of worries about what they're going to feel like after, how do you feel losing your original breasts?
It was really difficult because I was kind of in the place of, I don't really want implants. I don't want to feel different, and I'm going to feel different anyway. Like I'm literally, at that point I was sitting there bald, talking to a doctor about potentially having implants, and I was like, all this stuff, I have no choice in the matter. Like, it's literally like you get your fertility ripped away from you, like that choice. Like, you might need help to have kids if you want kids, and then your nipples are going to get cut off, so then you can't breastfeed your own baby. Like, that's hard just thinking about that, to then be like, oh, I'm going to feel like I've got plastic inside me, like I don't want that. But it was literally just like listening to what the doctors were saying and doing your own research about it. Like, just, there's so many Facebook groups and other people that have gone through it. Literally just message them, and that's what I did. I messaged a couple of people and I was like, how did you decide? And they basically just said, I literally weighed up the pros and cons of doing it all, because I could have had the DEP flap and it could have failed, so they had to check the blood vessels and the pulse in my breast, like every 15 minutes, every half an hour, and then literally increments like that for like 24 hours to make sure that the blood vessels didn't die, because if they did, they would have had to go back to surgery and put an implant in. So that was scary enough, just thinking, oh, I still might have the choice ripped away from me. But then I was just like, if that happens, then that's fine, you just have to do that. But then other people choose to go flat. They choose, don't put anything back in there, or just leave me flat. And that's, but for me, I was just like, I didn't want people to look at me and be like, oh, she's had cancer, or like, I don't want people to feel sorry for me.
Now, throughout the whole process, though, one thing I think's amazing, you didn't wear a wig.
Yeah.
After the day I cut your hair, you just rolled it out. You wore bandanas and stuff, didn't you? Hats and...
Yeah, and because it was cold.
Yeah.
My head was cold.
But you never wore a wig, ever.
No, I went to a wig shop and tried some on, but I just felt so uncomfortable. I don't know whether that was the shop where I went to, or just me feeling uncomfortable at the situation, knowing it was coming, because I thought it was going to at least take a while for it to start falling out, but it wasn't. It was literally a couple of days.
I remember when I cut it and you were like, oh, I don't think you were going to cut it that short.
I know.
And I thought, well, how short was I going to cut it, Kim? Because it's going to fall out anyway. And then I thought, oh, I've done the wrong thing here in front of everyone. Like, oh my God. Was that process easier? Because we had a little gathering, didn't we? A little family gathering. We cut your hair in front of everyone. Yeah, it was very emotional for certain people. It was obviously the realization from yourself and probably other people that didn't really, especially people like myself who didn't spend the time with you. That was the realization of, this is fucking real.
Yeah.
Was that easier doing it with people than just doing it at home?
Yeah, I think it was, because it's the support of other people. Like, obviously, I would never have been able to have cut it myself. No chance would I have just been able to have like, I didn't even have a mirror in front of me, did I? Like, I couldn't watch it happen. And it was weird. I thought I was just gonna break down crying, but I think because I wasn't watching, I didn't, and I felt so poorly anyway, because I'd just had my second chemo, that I was just like, I just had nothing in me to.
Yeah,
I had no energy to even cry.
It was killer for me because, like I say, that was a day when I went, this is real. Because throughout the whole thing, apart from seeing your scar on the first one, losing your voice, etc., it hadn't really like come home to me. And also have to be very strong for your sister, because even though it's her job and also she's giving you loads of advice, she also is your sister.
Yeah.
I had to be the stern word of, this is this. That really hit me that day. And I might be an idiot and I might joke about everything, but when it comes to things like that, I am not.
No.
I'm very serious. I am very emotionally connected to things like that.
Yeah.
To death, to illness, to sadness. I'm really emotional to it. But that day I felt like I couldn't, because I had to be, because Martin was going to get upset, your dad was going to get upset, your mum was going to get upset, Martin's family were going to get upset, your sister was going to get upset. I had to be the one who couldn't get upset, because then you would have got upset.
Yeah. So
I had to be the idiot, which I'm not normally when people laugh and joke about death and stuff like that. I sometimes, unless it's for a reason, like I remember having a good laugh at someone's funeral once, but that was their mum's funeral and they wanted to have the laugh.
Yeah.
But same again, it was that I was joining in because it made them better. I felt like I had to make, because you were laughing your head off in the chair.
But that's why I asked you to do it, because I knew no one else would be able to do it and be strong enough to do the whole thing.
Yeah, I'd say it was hard. It was very hard because I wanted to cry too.
Yeah.
Because like I say, I get emotionally attached to things like that. So after that day, we've spoke about your fertility, you're losing your breasts. Obviously, that was after the chemo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was before the chemo. Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Obviously, before the breast. Sorry, it went chemo, then breasts.
Yeah.
Which one out of the three really hit you the hardest?
It's hard because the breast cancer was really tough physically and mentally. Like, it was just draining. Like, all the side effects that you have. Like, I'm still constantly having monthly injections to stop my ovaries working, basically, because it's a hormone positive cancer. That's the next place it will attack if it is going to go anywhere else. Even though they have took it all out, I've had all my chemo and everything. But obviously I was having my radiotherapy just as like a mop up and just as the last part of my breast cancer journey. And then after a couple of my radios, I had my thyroid checkup. And they went, oh, that nodule looks a bit weird there. We're going to have to do a biopsy on it. And I'm literally sitting there like my hair's just starting to grow back. And I'm just crying on this bed knowing why am I having another biopsy? Like, I've already had treatment to get rid of this cancer. Why am I having another biopsy for it? This is ridiculous.
So out of all of this, when the third time came around, it's probably the hardest.
Just mentally, just like,
what the fuck?
Are you actually for real?
I can imagine what you said.
It was just like, this is not happening. Because I was ready. I was like, oh, I'm going to go back to work soon. Like, I was ready to get back into doing more things again. And then it was just like a slap again. And it was just like, I had to phone my boss and be like, oh yeah, I'm not starting back in a couple of weeks.
Why? Because it's back again.
So it's like I had to have... So my manager, we worked at the same place when I had my first thyroid, and then we both got made redundant from there and ended up where we work now. And so I had to phone him and be like, tell him about my breast cancer, and I didn't directly work for him at that point, but now I directly work for him again. So I had to phone him again and be like, oh yeah, this has happened again. And he was
the third time.
And he was like, you joking? I was like, no.
So throughout the three, and yes guys, three. She's only 28 and she's had 3, and she sits here and talks like this. There's no tears. It's like I say, the reason why she's on here is because it's incredible, and I know it's very hard for someone to go, oh, she probably didn't just go, oh, that's all it is. But you have been very, very, very strong throughout it all.
Yeah.
You said there was a good support network from online. Are there any places you would send people if someone listens to this?
Honestly, there is so many different advice platforms where you can find advice. Like, literally, Macmillan have really good resources for breast cancer specifically. There's Breast Cancer Now and Copperfield, but even if you're not directly going through breast cancer, if you just want to remind us to check yourself, Copperfield do send a monthly text. You just have to go on their website and sign up to it. And obviously, men and women should do it. It's not just women that get breast cancer. Like, there is men that get it. It's just, obviously, you don't hear about it as often because it's testicular cancer for men. But you should be checking yourself everywhere, male or female, and not just older people as well. And that's what I want to just make sure that everyone I speak to, I'm like, check your boobs. Because it's not just older women after they've had babies or anything. Like, I was 26 when I got diagnosed. So it's unlucky, but it happens. And
3 times unlucky.
Yeah.
So, in those groups, what's the best thing you've ever been told that's helped you throughout these last 4 or 5 years?
Just take each step at a time. Don't think about, in 6 months I've got to have this treatment, or in a year I'm going to have to do this. Literally do each. So when I did it, I literally was like, right, I've done my first chemo. Now I've just got to get through my next one. And it was literally just doing each little bit at a time and not trying to rush it and push myself and make sure that because I was like, it's hard because you can think, oh, I'll work out all my dates and be like, yes, I'm going to be done by this date, because it might not happen. Things can happen. Like, I was very lucky, I would say. I had bad side effects, but I wasn't in hospital. I didn't have sepsis or anything, which is a really high risk of having chemo. I was very lucky and I didn't get that. Like, my temperature did raise, which is a side effect, but it didn't go high enough to put me in hospital or anything or raise a concern. It's just, but things like that can happen. You just have to be very careful and listen to your body. Don't overdo it. Like, don't be worrying about other people and what other people want you to do. You just need to do what you need to do for yourself.
And what's one thing, it might not be able to be one thing, but what's one thing you've done to stay mentally stable throughout all of this? Because mental health is a big thing at the moment that people talk about. I do this. That's not me being sarcastic. It's some people go, oh, work's a little bit tough. I'm struggling with mental health. Sweetheart, this girl's just got 3 bouts of cancer before she's even 30. That's mentally tough.
Yeah.
What's one thing you could say to why you've not flown through this, but what's one thing that's kept you mentally stable and rock solid throughout this whole process?
Something that helped me, I wrote just like a diary of how I was feeling in my phone. Like I did it when I had my thyroid cancer as well. Like, just like writing my story out, just like how I'm feeling and how hard it actually is. Like, I can't say I've gone back and read it yet, but
we'll publish it.
Some of it's probably not publishing appropriate, but yeah, it did really help, because
just audio book it and I can release it on a podcast, and, and I can do what I want. No one can say what I can do, so just audio record it.
But some of the feelings that you have, it's hard because you don't want to say it to anyone. Like, you don't want to say, I feel like shit, because people like I didn't want mine to come home and he's like, oh, you feeling alright? And I'll be like, no, because it's like, he knows that I'm not okay. I don't need to constantly be saying I'm not okay, because it's just going to make it harder for everyone else.
Selfless? Is that the right word? It's very selfless. You're going through cancer, you're going through chemo, and you still care what Martin thinks. It's very selfless of you. Selfless? I hope that's the right word.
I think so. But it's just, I didn't want to make, because it's for all of you lot around me.
You were nicer when you were on chemo.
Yeah, I was nice. I am nice. You guys are literally just sitting there watching me and go through the worst thing you can go through. Why should I make it harder for anyone else? It's hard enough as it is.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's very...
Like, if we can talk about something else, like talk about a film or what Archie's done today or anything, it's going to make it easier, and you forget about it for a little bit. You push it to the side of your mind and you're just like, yeah, I'm focusing on something else for a bit, because I couldn't work throughout it or anything, so I didn't have that distraction. So I had to distract myself some other way.
Yeah. So let's say someone's listening or watching this that's either going through, they're partial, they're towards the end, or they're just about to go through, they've just been diagnosed. Is there one thing that you would, if they said, Kim, you've got 5 seconds to say something to me that's going to get me through, what do you think you'd say to them?
Ask questions. Even if you think it's a silly question. Like, message someone if you found someone on social media that's been through it or going through it, don't be afraid to message them. Because I was at first, but then I was like, no. Because if they're anything like me, they want to help. Because for me, like when I had my operation, I couldn't find that many people that spoke about it at that point. But then I'd found a couple of people and I messaged them and they were like, it was the best thing they did. Yeah. They were like, it was the best decision I made to have it done.
So would you advise people to reach out to you? Would you happily talk to people?
Yeah, if people want to ask me questions, even if it's not specifically breast cancer, and they just want to talk about how they're feeling about going through any type of cancer, it's kind of nice because that person can relate to it a bit more rather than talking to someone in their family and upsetting them, being like, oh, I felt like shit, like, and because you don't want to upset your family any more than they already are, because you can't do anything. You've just got to sit and watch them go through the worst time in their life.
Now I'll put Kimberley's Instagram in the bio. No weirdos, no creeps. All right. Yeah. Just people who actually want Kimberley's advice, and they want her guidance because she's literally been through everything that you could go through, and is still going through it because the third bout was not that long ago.
No,
it was about 4 days before you were having a party to say "fuck you, cancer."
Yeah,
it was the same as everything else. It was the same as it was that. Oh, I'm gonna do this, and then we have the race for life, and we raise loads of money.
Yeah,
and then the day of, boom, along comes breast cancer. Boom, it's like, here's the "fuck you, cancer" party, and whack. Why not have another bout of it? Have a go at that. So she's literally
everyone was like, "Are you gonna cancel your party? Your fuck you cancer party?" I was like, "No."
Now I'm gonna get pissed and have a great time.
I was like, I'm still saying "fuck you cancer" because it's shit.
Which a lot of people were very nice with. I know the DJ gave up his time for free, didn't he?
Yeah, he did give it up for free. Obviously, I paid him, but he was so supportive and lovely, and I had my makeup done and stuff. But he was so lovely, and I'd recommend it to everyone.
I thought it was free. No, don't do that. I thought it was free. You should be ashamed of yourself, sir.
No, he did discount it a little bit, but
that's alright then. Discount, that's good.
Yeah, he did. But yeah, he was lovely, and
it was a great night.
It was a good night. It was nice. It was nice to get everyone together for a good reason, and there was a few drunk people there.
Don't look at me like that.
You weren't.
Yeah, I was well drunk. I was throwing Archie around everywhere, and it was just like, everyone's like, "You should put your baby down." I'm like, "No, it's my baby, all right?" Well, Kim, thanks. I know we put it off, and I know probably deep down we both kept putting it off.
Yeah.
But I knew this is how it was going to go. We joked. I bought tissues. We joked how it was going to go, but throughout the whole process, I don't think it's been a sad process. I wanted to shine a light on how you've dealt with it to help other people deal with it. Not let's sit here and, like you said, right at the beginning, wallow in your own pity and, oh, poor Kim.
Yeah.
You've gone like, no, I'm better than this and I'm going to beat this. And you've been one step ahead of it and above it the whole time. And all it's done is just come back at you and come back at you. And if that's not a testament to be able to help other people, I don't know what is. So thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for talking to me.
Thanks for having me.
Come to the show, guys. We're raising money for this cause. The 28th of September in Nuneaton. It's 2 weeks till the day. It's all green themed.
It's gonna be a good
night. Favorite musical. Where it's a weekly twisted variety show. So like I say, we've brewed beer for it, so we're going to bring money in from the beer. We're going to bring money in from the ticket sales, and it's going to be. The night is basically based on how you've dealt with what you're doing, the songs, the way the night goes. It has a theme, and it is basically that same. There is wickedness in the world, but how you deal with that wickedness is one, a testament to yourself, but also really waters down how bad that wickedness can be.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kim.
Yay.
It's been emotional. Guys, I'm back. That felt great. I'm sweating. I'm cold, but I'm sweating. I've not been in here for months. coffeewithsam.co.uk. Grab yourself tickets. If not, follow me on YouTube. Your host on Instagram. We'll put Kimberley's in the bio. Remember, no creeps. Even if you're not in Nuneaton, guys, there's a brand new hotel just been built right by the theatre. Cheap hotels. Come have, make a night of it. grab me after. We'll grab a beer. Get your tickets.
Or a wine.
Or a wine.
I'll get a wine with summer.
Or there you go. Or a whiskey. Or a vodka. Or whatever
you drink.
Or even a fruit shoot.
Yeah.
The show, we've got a bar on stage this year. We've got a full-on set. I've probably gone way too over the top, but it's a thing that's dear to my heart.
Probably.
And yeah, no, I have gone way over the top. And why not? It feels great to be back. Let's hopefully get someone else in. Maybe Kimberley might be in the show in 2 weeks.
Maybe.
Ooh. We'll have that conversation in a second. Yeah, I've been Coffee with Sam, guys. Kimberley Banfield is goddamn incredible, and I've got to be careful because I might upset my wife. But she, like I say, is one of the strongest females I have ever been blessed to share a room with. And to share this room as a podcast is amazing, and this will be on the internet forever and ever and ever for kids to see.
Forever.
For kids to see, for Archie to see, for your kids to see. Guys, just remember, whatever you're going through, you are not alone. There's a lot of, not just the proper services out there. People like Kimberley, like she's had random people get her through what she's getting through. So thanks for sharing your story, Kimberley. I'm gonna stop rambling. It was a great episode.
Yeah. See you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.